Welcome back, everybody. We are finishing our 6.3 notes today, log basics, and we're talking about graphing logarithmic functions by hand. So the graphs in blue on here are the exponential graphs. This is an exponential growth graph, and this is an exponential decay graph. The graphs in red are their inverse or opposites, which are the log graphs. So let's talk a little bit about our log graphs. Because they are exactly opposites, our go-to point, instead of being 0, 1, is 1, 0. Instead of having a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0, we have a vertical asymptote at x equals 0. To graph by hand, we have a few choices, but we can rewrite the log into an exponential equation, make a table of values, then use the inverse of the table, swap the x and y values to graph the log function. So for your notes, I'm going to draw in our x equals 0 asymptote, and there's our 1, 0. Here is our log graph for when our base is greater than 1. When our base is between 0 and 1, still have our asymptote at x equals 0. There's our 0, 1. And our graph is going to look like this. Let's try a couple. We're not going to worry about domain and range for right now. So our base here is 3. So our inverse function is 3 to the x power. So let's do our xy table, negative 1, 0, 1. Remember, always 3 good points. Doesn't have to be those 3. Just remember, whatever you pick, you plot. And so plug in the negative 1 for x, and we get 1/3 or 0.33, 1, and 3. Now, for the log base 3, the x and y's swap places. We talked about finding inverse functions on the last part of the notes. So these two are literally going to swap spots. So now we have our new graph, ordered pair of points. For 1, negative 1. We have x is 1/3, y is negative 1, so roughly about right there. 1, 0, and 3, 1. Here's our x equals 0 asymptote. And our graph. All right, let's try this second example. So our base is 1/2. The inverse function then is 1/2 to the x power. Start with an xy table for that. Negative 1, 0, and 1 gives us 2, 1, and 1/2. Now remember, for our log, base 1/2, the table is going to exactly trade places. So we have 2, negative 1, 1, 0, and 1/2, 1. to go ahead and put in that vertical asymptote at x equals 0. So we have x equals 2, y is equal to negative 1, 1, 0, and 1/2, 1. And there's our graph. Notice it goes the opposite direction because our base in this case is between 0 and 1. This set of examples we're going to talk about in class tomorrow. Go ahead and give it a shot. This is how you're going to get your points for your notes. And we will work more tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.